Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Cricket Daily. It's WBBL Day in Australia. Our fantastic competition kicks off in Tasmania tonight. So I'm in a great mood. I'm joined by Lachlan McCurdy. Lachlan, I've set an ambition to watch every WBBL game. Do you think I can pull it off?
I think definitely. Obviously, it's a huge bonus that it looks like they're all going to be broadcast this year. So, yeah, it's fantastic and kicks off tonight. Sixers, Stars. It's going to be a good tournament, I feel.
Yeah, absolutely. It's wall-to-wall cricket in Australia now from here until probably next April, the way the domestic summer's shaping up. So that's made me very happy. Lots to cover in this show. We're going to preview the WBBL. There was a record-breaking innings by Travis Head yesterday on a highway in Adelaide. And Chris Gayle's feeling a bit insecure ahead of the T20 World Cup. So we'll dive into that. But let's start in the IPL. An absolutely thrilling game last night. Rishabh Pant's Delhi Capitals were taking on KKR for the right to play the Chennai Super Kings in the finals. But Pant's Delhi and Ponting's Delhi have been bundled out after two straight losses in the finals. So that means Kolkata Knight Riders will take on Dhoni's Chennai in the final on Friday night or Saturday morning, Australian time. Marcus Stoinis was back for Delhi, and Kolkata Knight Riders sent in Delhi, and Delhi laboured to 5 for 135. Darwin made 36 off 39, not even a strike rate of a run a ball. No Kolkata bowler went for more than 7 runs per over, indicating how well they bowled. It looked very short of a competitive total. And in reply, KKR were cruising. They were none for 96 in the 13th over. Gayle and Venkatesh Iyer had put on a rapid 96. Seemed like the game was going to go completely to Kolkata very easily. But then Iyer was out for 55 off 41. And then right at the death, Kolkata lost 6 wickets for 7 runs, including 4 ducks in a row. The equation went from Kolkata needing 10 off 12 balls to then needing 6 off 2 balls with Ravi Ashwin bowling on a hat-trick. But then Tripathi hit a beautiful 6 over Ashwin's head, and Kolkata go through to the final. Quite an exciting game there, Lachlan.
It really was. I mean, I didn't manage to stay up for it, but I caught up on the highlights first thing this morning and just seeing how Kolkata went from this position of being in complete comfort, going, okay, they're going to romp home here, to somehow looking like they were going to lose that match. I mean, what was it? 6 for 7 they lost in the end there. Yes. It was incredible. Just wicket after wicket after wicket. And then it came down to 6 off 2, and Tripathi just goes, oh, I only need 1 ball, and hits it over sort of mid-on for 6. It was remarkable. I mean, I really thought Ravichandran Ashwin was going to send Delhi through to the final. So it was a remarkable finish to the game. And it's one of a number of close finishes that we've seen in the last few matches in the IPL. So it's really what we've seen, I think, is that we've had the best teams at the back end of the tournament, and it's proved to really have some good cricket on the TV.
Absolutely. And I think Delhi will be very disappointed at their performances in the final. To lose 2 straight games after playing so well in the first 14 rounds of the competition. And look, it's made me reflect, Lachlan, on the way Delhi have approached the finals. And, you know, when Ricky Ponting was Test captain of Australia, one of the knocks on him that was he when the pressure was on, for some reason, he went the conservative route. And I think we're seeing that in his coaching. I don't think Delhi took on the match appropriately last night. I think they should have been more adventurous with the bat. I think they played with a little bit of fear, and it showed through in the finals. And I think Ricky Ponting, you know, this maybe is a reflection on his coaching, because it sort of mirrors what he did as Test captain.
I think it's certainly hard, because for me personally, I think Delhi have almost been the best team this entire tournament. But when it's come to finals, you're right, they haven't been able to make the most of their opportunities. It's hard when you've got someone like Shikhar Dhawan at the top there, who has been so good, and then you've got Shaw there as well. Excuse me. They've got a really solid setup and a solid formula, and it's almost like if that doesn't work, they don't have that plan B.
But why didn't they take it on, Lachlan? That's what I'm saying. Like, you're 5 for 135. You're better off being bowled out, trying to score as many as you can, than just you know, putting a subpar total up in a knockout game. I just think it was a little bit, I don't know, I thought they played scared, to be honest. And I think Calcutta deserved the win.
I got that sense too. I mean, a lot of question marks from the Delhi fans over whether Marcus Stoinis should have been rushed back into the side. Obviously, they had a few other different options there that they could have used. But look, I think Stoinis coming in at 3, not scoring, he scored at less than a run at ball. You kind of need him to be scoring at least sort of a strike rate of 120 plus. So, yeah, a lot of interesting decisions there. And at the end of the day, 135 or so for a qualifying final is never going to be enough to get there. They needed more runs. You're absolutely right.
I'm calling them the Delhi Floppiddles. All right, now Chennai will take on KKR in the final. Chennai have won it 4 times, KKR 2 times. So we're in for an absolutely ripper final. All right, moving on from the IPL to the T20 World Cup. Cricket is a cruel game, Lachlan, and Axar Patel, just days out of the T20 World Cup, has been replaced in India's World Cup squad with Shardul Thakur. Axar Patel has been placed on a list of standby players along with 8 other players that have been brought into the bubble to help the team prepare for the matches, but no reason's been given for the change. But Thakur has been Chennai's leading wicket taker in the IPL with 18 wickets at a runs per over of 8.75. But Lachlan, Patel's probably, going to bed dreaming about playing in a World Cup, and then it's just ripped from underneath him.
Yeah, it's got to be tough. I mean, obviously, there's been a bit of talk around the Indian squad in the last couple of days. Some question marks around Hardik Pandya and whether he'll be fit as well. But I think they're just trying to give themselves their best chance to have a broad squad. Obviously, it's going to be hard when so many players are coming off the back of the IPL, and obviously the major teams aren't involved for another week or so. But I mean, it kicks off this Sunday, so it's going to be a really short turnaround to get the body right and get the mind right for a completely new international tournament. So look, India have definitely gone, let's bring a big team in terms of replacement players on that standby list. So maybe Patel's gonna be there and still
get back if there's an injury.
Yeah,
it could be in out. Poor guy, the emotions will be up and down for Patel. The one thing about Thakur, and as I think we saw it in the Test series against Australia and against England, he's a big match player, and he's turned Test matches with the bat and ball. So perhaps they see him as that X factor in the T20 World Cup squad for India. But cruel for Patel. All right, now it's a WBBL preview time, and I've been running my eye over the squads. The top 4 teams last season, Lachlan, were the Melbourne Stars, the Brisbane Heat, the Sydney Thunder, and the Perth Scorchers after the qualifiers. And then obviously the Thunder beat the Stars in the final. And I can still see it etched in my brain is the disappointment in Meg Lanning's face as they crumbled against the Thunder. So I guess, looking at those 4 teams, the Stars, the Heat, the Thunder, the Scorchers, do you think we'll see someone like a Sixers or another team force their way into that top 4 this year?
I think there's certainly a chance. I know we were chatting before recording, and I personally believe that this tournament is almost as level as we've seen for a number of seasons. I think last year there was kind of maybe a top 5 or 6 teams and a little bit of a drop after that, whereas this year there seems to be a lot of balance. So I think particularly looking at those teams that finished outside the finals last year, I really like what the Hobart Hurricanes are doing. I think they've got a pretty well-balanced side. I think their big issue is going to be maybe just making sure they can get 130, 140 plus on the board. Just runs might be where they might struggle. And obviously they've relied heavily on Rachel Priest last year. So hopefully they don't have to do that again. Hopefully they can spread that around a little bit. Got to say, the Renegades, if you're recruiting Harmanpreet Kaur and Jemima Rodriguez, that is a fantastic duo to be bringing into your team. And obviously a lot of Australian talent there with the likes of Sophie Molyneux, Georgia Wareham, and they brought down Holly Furling as well. Holly Furling's come across from the Stars. So they've got a really fantastic lineup there. And yeah, the strikers as well. They've got Dane van Niekerk, Laura Vulfat, the South African duo there. They're going to be
Talia
fantastic.
McGrath.
Of course, she's been a world beater. Darcy Brown was fantastic last year. And then the Sixers, Alyssa Healy and Shafali Verma at the top of the order. That is such an exciting prospect. And there's obviously lots of question marks around Elise Perry's role in T20 cricket, and they'll miss Aaron Burns for the opening few rounds. But when you've still got players like Ash Garden there, you've got Radha Yadav, it's certainly a very exciting team. And I can't wait to see what the injection of pace for someone like Maitland Brown brings to that side as well.
Yeah, it's very exciting. Look, I think the Melbourne Stars are going to struggle to maintain the sort of dominance they did last year, finishing on the top of the table. They've lost a couple of players that haven't come over for this IPL, so I think that's going to be tough. I mean, this WBBL and the Brisbane Heat. You know, can someone like Sammy Joe Johnson? Sorry, she's moved to the Thunder now, hasn't she? But no, Grace Harris. You know, like she's the one who's got the power in the middle order. You know, can she? You know, drag the Heat through the competition because you know they've lost a few players. Amelia Kerr. I just wonder whether the Heat can maintain their form. I think they're a team that could drop back, but as you say, it's really going to be a close game. It's fantastic. Every game's covered on TV. They're going to be playing around the country. I guess the big losses for the Sydney Thunder. Their skipper Rachel Haynes announced yesterday she won't be joining the team this year unless the border changes. So yeah, look, I think we're in for a cracker, and you know, the injection of the Indian talent has just brought this league to the next level.
I generally think Smriti Mandana, she's my selection for highest run scorer. I just think she looked fantastic during that Australian India series, and she could be crucial for the Thunder at the top there. And obviously you've got Poonam Yadav, Australia's destroyer in Sydney in the T20 World Cup. She's playing for the Heat too. So while they lose Amelia Kerr, they've got a very handy replacement there too. So I think the Indian players, and I want to do a special shout out to Adapadu over at the Scorchers. She was signed a while ago, the Sri Lankan batter, and kind of has fallen under the radar, but I think she's going to be fantastic over there for Perth.
Yeah, so look, I'm going to go on record. I think the Sydney Sixers will win this tournament. They haven't made the finals in the last 2 years. They've been far short of the way they should have performed. They've made changes with the structure behind the scenes. They've made some good signings. You mentioned their openers, but Maitland Brown as well coming across or up. So I think the Sixers for me are tournament favourites.
I see that. I definitely see that. I think they'll be back in finals this year. I think obviously they've made some big recruitment decisions. They've changed things up again. I like the Sixers. I like the Renegades. I think they've quietly built a really good squad. And I do also like the Perth Scorchers. I think the three internationals they've got are just incredible. You've got Cap, you've got Adapado, and you've got Sophie Devine. I mean, I don't think it gets any better than that. Three of the best players in the world. So I think they're three teams that will go close to winning it this year.
Well, good luck picking a winner from our analysis there, because there's a lot of very evenly matched teams. And I think we saw last year the Sydney Thunder peaked at the right time. And, you know, that's what you got to watch for. The teams that really peak towards the end of the tournament are the ones that seem to do well. All right, let's head across to South Australia. A great day for Travis Head and South Australian cricket. They ended a 604-day drought between victories in either the Sheffield Shield or the one-day competition. So an incredibly poor run for South Australia, but they did it in style yesterday. They batted first, making 8 for 391 in just 48 overs. Queensland in reply were all out for 312. But the man of the match, the man of the day was Travis Head. He smashed 230. It's the second highest score in the history of Australian men's one-day cup competitions. He's the first Australian to score 2 list day double centuries. He also smashed the fastest ever double century in list day cricket. His 200 coming off just 114 balls. And he is now one of only 3 batters with multiple scores of 200 plus in that format. And he's got the 6th highest score in list day cricket of all time. You got Ali Brown on top with 268, Rohit Sharma with 264, Darcy Short with 257, Shikhar Dhawan 248, Martin Guptill 237 not out, and then Travis Head with 230. So a phenomenal day for South Australia to get a victory. I think Jason Gillespie will be sleeping better, but we are seeing Travis Head start this season off in style, and certainly, putting himself in front of the selectors.
Well, it's certainly interesting. There was a lot of discourse online after the innings kind of going, why was Travis Head ever ridden off so quickly for white ball cricket? I mean, we know that he's a very damaging player when it comes to one day and T20 cricket. So it'll be interesting to see whether he comes back into selectors' contention over the next few seasons, because there's going to be spots opening up in that side. Yeah, it was just a phenomenal innings. No bowler looked like they could get a handle on him. And it was just quite remarkable. He was dispatching balls over every single boundary, and fantastic for South Australia to finally get that win. It has been a long time coming, and good to see Brendan Doggett come down and have an immediate impact in his first game for the Redbacks with 4 wickets, and obviously Lloyd Pope taking 4 wickets as well. So good to see that while Travis Head was clearly the player of the match, there are a lot of strong contributions there.
Absolutely. It certainly was a batting-friendly pitch at Karen Rolton Oval. I think all the batters will be happy to put that in their pocket and take it around for the summer. And that they continue later this week in a Shield game, so keep an eye out for that. All right, and last 2 bits of news. Now, I reported earlier in the week on Ireland women's series win over Zimbabwe, but I did miss this quite phenomenal record. Amy Hunter, the Irish batter, has become the youngest ever player to score an international century. On her 16th birthday, so what a birthday, Hunter struck an unbeaten 121 to take Ireland to a series victory. So she overtakes Mitali Raj as the youngest woman previously to score an international century, and she overtakes Shahid Afridi, who was apparently 16 years old when he made his international century. So a great record for Ireland's Amy Hunter, the youngest ever international century maker at just 16 on her birthday. And then finally, Lachlan, well, Chris Gayle is feeling a little bit sensitive ahead of the T20 World Cup. I think age is making him feel insecure, and he's fired up at one of West Indies' former greats, Curtly Ambrose. Now, this is what Gayle's said, and then I'm going to read you the quote that Ambrose said that elicited this out of him. Gayle, I can tell you personally, and you can let him know from Chris Gayle, so again in the third person, the universe boss, I have no respect for Curtly Ambrose whatsoever. I am finished with Curtly Ambrose. I have no respect. Anytime I see him, I will tell him as well, stop being negative, support the team ahead of the World Cup. Now, from that, you'd think, oh, Ambrose has gone on some tirade criticizing Gayle. All Ambrose said was, for me, Gayle is definitely not an automatic choice for starting, which I think other people would agree with. It's not such a crazy take if you look at his form. What did you make of Gayle there?
Look, I think we saw Gayle leave the IPL early to kind of prepare for the World Cup. That, look, he's 42. He doesn't have heaps of cricket ahead of him, so he's really wanting to make the most of what he's got left. And I guess any threat to that might be a bit of a personal attack, but we know the character that Chris Gayle is, that he just wants to play cricket. He wants to be himself, and he wants to show the world how good he can be. And look, for me personally, I'd love to see him playing for the West Indies and one last T20 tournament, absolutely smashing bowlers from around the world. But I have to agree with Curtly. There's no guarantee that based on current form, Chris is going to be starting. And if that means I get a torrent of abuse from Chris Gayle, then so be it. But yeah, I have to agree with what Curtly Ambrose said, that just because that West Indian team is so talented, there's no guarantee. It's not just because Chris Gayle isn't in form. It's because there are guys in the West Indian team who are in form.
Yeah, well, I agree with you. And I think maybe Chris Gayle should get some therapy before the tournament just to work through these anger issues. But anyway, yeah, a little bit of drama going on there over in the West Indies. Also some local drama. It's boring, but the chairman of the board from Cricket Australia has stepped down, Earl Eddings. If any of you are interested in applying to be part of the CA board, just get in touch with them directly because there's now a position open. Lachlan, thanks for joining me on this edition of Cricket Daily. Enjoy the WBBL. What else you got cooking?
Oh, lots of stuff happening. I can't wait to personally being back in Sydney, getting back to actually playing some cricket, which will be exciting.
Oh, do you play cricket, do you?
I play a little bit. I roll the arm over every now and again.
Excellent. Well, you enjoy that, listeners and viewers. Thanks for watching. The show's on all podcast apps and now on YouTube. It's 3 p.m. Sydney, Melbourne time it's released, and all the other times are on the screen there if you're watching. Thanks for